Calgary Police Service has charged a youth in connection with the death of a woman who was discovered in her residence in the southeast. On Saturday, July 27th, officers were approached by an individual in the 2800 block of 14th Avenue Southeast, concerned for the welfare of a neighbor. Once inside the unit, officers found a deceased woman who is believed to be 49 years old. An investigator from the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner's office attended, and the death was deemed suspicious. An autopsy is ongoing and will not be completed until later today. A 16-year-old male was arrested on Sunday, July 27th, without incident. He has now been charged with second-degree murder. He cannot be named or identified under the provisions of the Youth Criminal Justice Act. However, police can confirm that he is known to the victim and this homicide was not random. To ensure the identity of the accused youth is not compromised, the identity of the victim is also being withheld at this time. Anyone with information on this incident is asked to call police. Although I am very limited to discuss any further details, I'll answer any questions that I can about this homicide.
Can you say where he was arrested at all on Sunday?
Pardon me?
Can you say where
He was arrested outside the city limits.
What could you tell us about the events of that day?
The events?
What led up to the crime? Do we know?
We don't know specifically what led up to the crime at this time.
Can you tell us the relationship between the victim and the suspect?
No, like I said before, we can't identify the victim or the suspect, and therefore we cannot discuss the relationship between the two to protect the identity of the youth under the provisions of the Youth Criminal Justice Act.
Can you give us any kind of indication of what exactly happened? Was this violent, cause of death?
The cause of death will be determined at the conclusion of the autopsy.
Can you go into why, if you don't release the identity of the victim,
Right.
why is it you can't release the relationship of the accused with the victim if you're not releasing her identity?
Just due to the provisions, we're being cautious with respect to any information we provide that may link the two together.
Is that overcautious?
No, I would not say it's overcautious at this point.
Did the victim have a prior history with the police?
We cannot discuss any details regarding specifics of victims.
What about the suspect? You dealt with him before? I know he's only 16, but.
We can't talk about previous criminal history of either victims or accused persons.
What evidence led to the arrest?
What evidence led to the arrest? It was an ongoing investigation. Obviously, evidence is gathered throughout the course of the investigation, and we got to the point where we were able to obtain approval from the Crown Prosecutor's Office to lay a charge of second-degree murder.
Who lived in that house where she was found?
Who lived in the house? We know she did, and again, that's about as much as we can tell you at this point.
Did she live alone?
We can't really provide further information as to information about the victim.
Was she fairly new to Calgary? Had she just moved to Calgary in the last few months, do you know?
The information we have is that she had been at that residence for at least a couple months.
Did the suspect live there?
Again, we cannot get into details regarding the suspect.
Would you classify this as a domestic?
We cannot classify this as a domestic.
Okay.
Just one last general question. How busy has the unit been with all this different investigation, suspicious death that's been happening the past few days?
Oh, we've been extremely busy over the last week. Absolutely.
And it seems like the murder rate's already reaching what we had last year. You guys are concerned about that at all?
Well, anytime we have to investigate a homicide, we're concerned, but each murder is of its own set of circumstances, and we've had a number of multiple homicide victims, another number of multiple victim homicides this year. So things
Sorry.
fluctuate from year to year.
Sorry, are you saying Calgarians shouldn't really be concerned that the level of violence in our city is escalating? It's more that we've just had these pockets of these multiple homicides with multiple victims?
I would say that's a fair statement.
Okay.
Sorry, with the accused in this homicide case, was he arrested at a home outside the city or like in a vehicle or whereabouts was he?
He was not arrested in a home or a vehicle.
Was he with people or like, how did you guys track him down?
Well, again, that's part of the investigation. It's before the courts now, so we're not at liberty to discuss those details at this time.
But it's not a situation where he came forward?
No, absolutely not. No, it was as a result of the investigation he was located.
Can you tell me about the home or the neighborhood around it? Is it known for this sort of thing?
It's like any other neighborhood in Calgary.
We heard that there's a lot of drug usage. There's a crack house that was raided 2 years ago. Can you talk a bit about what the neighborhood's like? Because people on the streets said that they were concerned for their safety.
Well, with, obviously you're getting that from a source within the community itself. But as far as we're concerned, this neighborhood is not unlike any other neighborhood in Calgary.